Yeah, Andre Onana is going to Trabzonspor. It's an exclusive story from the weekend. Now is a done deal because all the documents are signed between all parties involved. So Andre Onana will travel on Thursday this week to Turkey to become a new Trabzonspor player. The deal is a loan from Manchester United, doesn't include a buy option clause, doesn't include a loan fee. Basically, Trabzonspor will pay the salary of Andre Onana, the same salary he's earning at Manchester United, but adding to this a signing fee and bonuses. So Onana will receive a higher salary compared to the salary he's receiving at Manchester United. So this is the agreement. On Thursday is going to be time for travel, medical test, and then the deal will be official with Andre Onana and the big surprise in the Turkish market with former Inter goalkeeper. Imagine Man United 2 years ago paid 55 million euros to sign Onana from Inter, and now he's moving on loan to Trabzonspor.
Touching on this point, so what was the idea behind Manchester United's decision to let Onana leave after what they spent 2 years ago?
Yeah, look, the decision is that basically I think the message from Ruben Amorim was very strong, despite all people talking about fitness, recovering from injury and all these kind of things. Amorim always made clear in all the interviews in press conference that it was a technical decision to leave Onana out in the first 3 games of the Premier League. A player like Onana not playing even one single minute in 3 Premier League games. Okay, he played in the League Cup, but against a 4th division team. This is not Premier League football, and so Onana was completely out of the project at Manchester United. So I think the message from Amorim was very clear. And also Manchester United, when they decided to invest on Senne Lammens as new goalkeeper in the final hours of the summer transfer window, probably having a goalkeeper like Andre Onana sitting on the bench without European football, so you can't rotate, without a League Cup, so you can't rotate even more in English competitions, well, this was probably going to put some pressure. Imagine this is what they feel internally at Man United. Every time there was the lineup of Man United, the news was going to be Lammens is starting and Onana is on the bench, Onana is on the bench, Onana is on the bench. This kind of narrative was probably going to be negative for all people, for the player, for Lammens, for Onana himself, for Manchester United, for Amorim, and so they decided to part ways. Onana accepted this solution and decided to accept Trabzonspor.
So the question is, why Lammens talking about strategies and not Emiliano Martinez?
This has been a 50-50 story till the final 12 hours of the summer transfer window, really. It was a 51% Lammens, 49% Emiliano Martinez. Look, for Man United, it was 2 completely different opportunities. Obviously, Lammens is a goalkeeper for present and future, a big talent, big skills, considered a top talent in his position, and also cheaper than Emiliano Martinez. Emi Martinez, on the other side, can offer leadership. He's a serial winner with Argentina. He's a goalkeeper who knows the league very well. So obviously, this was 2 completely different ways. Don't forget about the salary, because the salary of Emiliano Martinez compared to Senne Lammens is completely different. Without mentioning numbers, I never mention salaries, but this was completely different. And also, Man United were hoping to include Jadon Sancho on a permanent transfer to Aston Villa as part of the conversation, but at the end was only a loan. And so the easier solution for Man United was to go for Senne Lammens, but not just the easier, their favorite solution, because he's very young, he's considered a top talent, and they believe with Lammens they don't have just a goalkeeper for 1 or 2 seasons, but they have a goalkeeper for the future.
Talking about the situations that did not happen in this case, Kobbie Mainoo I'm talking about, what was the situation about the player in the last days of the transfer window?
Yeah, the reality is that Kobbie wanted to go. Kobbie wanted to go on loan, as we always said here on the podcast. So Kobbie was very honest. He never wanted to leave Man United as club or as project, but he didn't want to spend the season on the bench. Kobbie was really disappointed when after the game against Fulham, he played 0 minutes, but also Ruben Amorim in press conference says he can play instead of Bruno Fernandes, but Bruno Fernandes is the starter. So Kobbie Mainoo was feeling something like, okay, if Bruno is going to start all the games, as we know he's going to do, because he's the captain, he's the symbol of this team, well, I don't want to be on the bench every single game. Kobbie didn't say that. I'm saying that, but this was the idea behind the player. So Kobbie wanted to go on loan, wanted to play 38 games this season, wanted to be a regular starter elsewhere, wanted to play a World Cup in 1 year with England, because it's something really important for him, and wanted to develop, so to return to Man United in 2026 as a stronger player and ready to compete for a starting spot. Man United immediately told him, no chance, no loan, no permanent transfer, no way. You are staying here. I'm told that this decision even involved the co-owner, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who was part of this conversation to keep Kobbie Mainoo. So nothing happened. Now, Kobbie will have the opportunity to compete for his spot at Man United, but obviously he wants to play. For him, is really, really important.
Talking about other Man United stars and crucial players, Bruno Fernandes, was he really close to leave the club in the summer?
Yeah, close, probably not that close, but it was a concrete possibility at the beginning of the summer transfer window when Al Hilal already end of May, started to go very strong for Bruno Fernandes. Al Hilal made a really important financial proposal. Then we had many stories also on Al Ittihad during the summer, on more stories, Al Ittihad, Al Nasser, completely fake. All the stories you heard in August, in July were completely fake because there was never any chance for Bruno to leave in July or in August. The only real chance was at the beginning of the transfer window when Al Hilal tried very strong. They had a negotiation with Bruno and with his agents, but then Bruno decided to turn down the proposal and to stay at Manchester United. But then after that, Bruno never ever negotiated or considered to leave Man United. What I can tell you is that from Saudi, they will keep tracking Bruno Fernandes. So for this summer is over, for this year is over. If you ask me for 2026 or maybe 2027, this will be up to Bruno, not to me. Do you think they will return? My answer is yes. I think from Saudi they will return for Bruno Fernandes, and let's see if at some point they will convince him.
Fabri, can you reveal us one deal that did not happen, that was actually something that was happening behind the scenes?
I will mention Conor Gallagher because Conor Gallagher in the final 24 hours of the summer transfer window was a target for Man United. We know they wanted to add the midfielder. So for Conor Gallagher, they tried. They had an official contact with Atletico Madrid. Man United asked for a loan deal, maybe with a buy option clause included, paying main part of the salary, but the answer from Atletico Madrid was no chance to let Conor go on a loan deal in the final hours of the window. They wanted to keep Conor Gallagher. Also, Crystal Palace tried to bring him back after being a player of the season there in 2022. So Palace tried, Man United tried in the final hours of the window, but for Atletico Madrid it was, let's say, not so smart to let go a player like Conor Gallagher in the final hours of the window.
And now, last question, probably the question of the questions for the Man United fans watching us is who will be the top signing for Man United in 2026?
Look, the position to cover is going to be midfielder. Manchester United will go for a midfielder, an important midfielder in 2026. We see if it's going to be January, if it's going to be summer transfer window. I think Man United have been showing in August that they have very clear ideas, or they get the player they want, especially in that position, or they wait and they prefer to wait for the next two transfer windows. So this is the position of the club. The player they want is Carlos Baleba, at least with Ruben Amorim as a coach. Then if this will change in the future, we will see. But Baleba is considered the perfect player. Man United were very happy with Baleba, very keen and very interested in the opportunity of joining Man United, even without European football. So I think Man United will continue their option, their opportunity to go for Carlos Baleba. From Brighton was a complete closed door this summer. Let's see what's going to happen in the future. I think Man United will try again for Baleba in 2026, but that position, defensive midfielder, intensity in midfield, is what Ruben Amorim keeps repeating in every meeting they have at Man United. Intensity in midfield. So I think they will go for that kind of player with Baleba as a top target in 2026.
There will be one less goalkeeper at Manchester United now, yes?
Well, that's the hope at United. Is the Turkish window closes on the 12th of September, and Trabzonspor have agreed a loan deal with United for Andre Onana. Onana's agreed to it, but it's not actually done yet because Onana, I think, is in international duty. So until he's in Trabzon, he's signed the dotted line, it's not done. But it is pretty much done. So Andre Onana will be leaving Man United on a season-long loan to Trabzonspor.
All right, Oggy, thanks for coming on. And who will be their first choice goalkeeper then, Oggy?
Well, this is the big question because, you know, they signed Sonny Lammens from Antwerp, and all the noises from United have been, don't put pressure on this guy, he's not a number one, he's one for the future. So, like you say, Dan, who's going to be in goal at the Manchester Derby at the weekend? Is it going to be the kid from Royal Antwerp who's never played at the highest level before? Or is it going to be Altay Bayındır, who's had a pretty tricky start to the season? Every game he's played, he's made a mistake. Or Tom Heaton, who, to be fair to Tom Heaton, he looked good in pre-season, but Tom Heaton's 39. He hasn't played for, I can't even remember the last time he played for United. So they're United's goalkeeping options. They've got a very, very ropey number two, a guy who never plays, and a young kid with a big future, but who would be thrown in at the deep end in the derby. So the answer to the question, Dan, is I don't know.
Casey, if you're Lemons, obviously, just talk us through the psychology of going from Belgium to the Premier League.
Right. It's tough.
To Manchester United.
It's tough.
To a Manchester Derby.
To a Manchester United that is not... You know, we saw Manchester United goalkeepers come in once Schmeichel left, and in a side that's potentially winning the league. Now a side that finished in the bottom half of the table who haven't necessarily looked like they're going to be that much better. So you're going into a team that has an expectation that I need you to make saves. I need you to help us get better. Now, personally, I think if you're anybody with confidence, and as a professional athlete, you should be borderlining on arrogance, not just confidence. You're thinking, oh, give me this chance.
Right.
There's nobody here. Give it to me. I'll show you I am not just the young kid who hopes to be a good goalkeeper. I'll show you I'm ready right now. Now, is he ready right now?
It can't be worse.
That's the question.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, but how do you bring it? What kind of strategy? Like, if you're bringing in one for the future, you have to have
the one for now.
You have to have a Schmeichel or a Barthez or whoever it is that's been playing in goal for Man United, and then you sort of build them in slowly. How can you bring a keeper in for the future when your current number one is a disaster? All right, it might be a decent shot stopper and all that, but guess what? People put crosses into the box. People put long throw-ins into the box. People put corner kicks under the crossbar. That ain't going away. That ain't going away.
But Craig,
he's a disaster with that.
That's not important in goalkeeping anymore. All you have to do is be able to play out of the back.
Oh, I see.
You don't have to make a save. You don't have to catch a cross. You just have to pass a ball to your outside back and maybe
Casey,
take a good goal kick. That's all that matters.
Casey, I think that trend will change now. There will Donnarumma coming in. Pep Guardiola will now have a goalkeeper that is better with his hand than with his legs. I mean, that is the first time in the history of goalkeepings in the last 5-6 years. And to be fair to the young kids coming in, I mean, it must be the fantastic thing to come into a Manchester derby, and it can't get worse.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't do worse than the ones they've had in the beginning of the season. But it's a trend now at Manchester United. You get an awful lot of money. You take to buy Šeško. When you need a penalty in Grimsby, he's the last outfield player who do it. If you need a goal at home, he's the last striker to come on. And now you're going to get a new goalkeeper. He's the last goalkeeper to come on. Is that a strategy?
Well, Real Madrid realised it. Real Madrid, one if not the most successful clubs in the world, went out and got themselves a brilliant goalkeeper. And Courtois is okay with his feet. He's not the best, but he's arguably the best at everything else. He's had that horrendous injury. He's came back. But at one point before the injury and coming back now, I think he is, at the moment, the best out there. But Real Madrid realised that, and their success is out there for everybody to see. And it's a bit like Arsenal with the free kicks in a sense, and we've talked about this, it's important for them to get back to basics and have their set pieces as a bit of an afterthought. Because they're not going to win the league on the set pieces alone. They'll win the league on their basics. What they do well, the way they press, how they get it to the wide men, how the defence operates as a unit. And then the free kicks and the set pieces are secondary. I think with me, as a non-goalkeeper, obviously, Casey's the goalkeeper.
Oh, you played one.
It's to say,
10 minutes.
It's to say, I'd rather have a goalkeeper who was slightly less comfortable with the ball at his feet, but was going to make me X amount of points with these great saves or dealing with situations in the box and marshalling a back four. You know, really communicating with a back four. It just seems we've got away with this crazy playing the ball across the 6-yard box.
Now, if you have, I think the key to any coach is to take your players' strengths and their players' weakness and play to those. Now, if I have a goalkeeper that is the best player on the pitch with his feet, okay, then he can play that particular way. If I have a striker who's a big guy, holds the ball up, oh, no, I need you to play like Messi. I can't play like Messi. That's not who I am. Well, then why are you asking your goalkeeper to play a particular way when he's not? That's not his strength.
Because you're also special. You're also special.
Yes, I got to do both,
you can't
Jan.
even compete. Yeah, you can. The goalkeepers are so special. They need confidence. You can't take them off at halftime because they are so special. A striker doesn't need trust. Oh, we do.
Yeah,
but the
100%.
goalkeepers are so special. I mean, I'm 100% with you. Play to your strength and try to. You have the biggest gloves in the history of football, and you can't save all because you have to be good with your feet.
I'll give you an example with plenty strengths, and I think some managers are just getting away from it to try and be the next best thing. You know, look at how we've just played out from, and I get it. Sometimes playing out from the back is good because you can stretch teams, but it's been proven time and time again when you see some of the games, most of the sides can't do it, and even the best sides get caught out. I'll give you one example of plenty of strengths in the Premier League who probably do it better than anybody else with a smaller budget and squad than most, is Oliver Glasner and Crystal Palace. Right? They've had great success doing what they do to their strengths, both in the Premier League last year, the FA Cup and the Community Shield. They know in Lacroix, Gallagher and Richards at the back, they don't have centre-halves that really want the ball to their feet all the time. So they don't take that risk. They might do it now and again, but generally, Dean Henderson will knock it up the field. Yep. And then they have a big guy, and Jean-Philippe Mateta, who'll hold it up and fight for it, and they'll get up and support. They don't try and do things that they are not good at. Because if they tried it, they'd be down in a relegation zone. So there's a manager who understands, and by the way, a highly thought of manager, who understands the strengths and weaknesses of what he's got at this particular time. He's not trying to make, you know, some sort of chicken salad out of chicken whatever, right? He's just doing what he does. I nearly said the word. He's doing what he does with his players. And I just feel there's too many managers are just trying to get away from the basics to do things with goalkeepers that...
Do things with centre backs, do things with outside backs, do things just... Yeah, but...
Anyway, I didn't realise we'd be talking about goalies for as long as this.
Well, we're going to continue as well, by the way, because, of course, the talking point from the other side of the Manchester